fairness, because when in the early days of Islam, as I recall, Jews were not accepting the Prophet Muhammad as a prophet of God. They really couldn't. And while the Christians in the Arabian Peninsula had a compact with him, they couldn't agree on Jesus, but they parted in a friendly manner, even so. I think my question for Dr. Eisenman is something like this. In our time, in the past century, there have been quite a literature coming out of Judaism, Jewish scholars about Jesus, and I'm really not up on it very much, but I know it's there, and that some of it is the effect of claiming Jesus as their own, which I think can be quite reasonably done. So I wonder if Dr. Eisenman, you could give us a little more light on, and maybe sort it out in terms of Orthodox, Conservative, Reformed, current thinking about Jesus.
No, I'm not able to do that, as I told you, because I haven't got any idea what the current thinking of Orthodox, Reform, and Conservative is, and I wouldn't pretend to speak for them. As I said, I am a secular academic scholar, and I think something of what is going on here is part of the problem that I see throughout the campus and in all our courses in this subject. We have one idea that's based on faith, that's based on belief, that's based on theology. But in a university, in an academic environment, I'm mainly on the side of history. So I like to come at things from history, and I've heard both my esteemed colleagues, who I value very highly, say things about certain things that they're sure of, and it raises question in my mind always: how do you know? Were you there? I mean, this is taking things on faith. Now, in a religion, in a mosque, in a synagogue, in a church, we do tend to take things on faith. But in an academic environment, we like to build up more sterner proofs. So, for instance, I heard Dr. Siddiqui say that the Jews feel this, and this. If I went to Jews and asked them this question, as I told you before, I'm not sure any of them would respond to those questions in that way at all. Because I'm not, as I said, sure that Jews even know what they think about Jesus. Some like him, some enjoy the stories about him, others are frightened and turn off entirely. But the one point he made, that the Jews at least agree that he was crucified, I'm not sure about that either. I don't know as they even think that. The point comes down to, and I think here I speak as a secular academic, that many of us think Jesus is not an historical character. Many of us think that Jesus is a product of literature, that the scripture that we have is literary, even perhaps romantic novelizing. Therefore, in an academic secular environment, all the miracles of Jesus are dismissed as pious enthusiasm. That's just de rigueur, and it would happen in a physics department, a psychology department, anywhere. So how do we get the character of Jesus? For many of us academics, Jesus is a composite of numerous persona living in the first century, which is why I told you I came at the problem from a different direction. Now, if you come at the problem from a different direction, then you find that everything represented of Jesus, even the things that are echoed in the Quran, as Muzammil said, are the very opposite of what one finds about this character that's supposed to be closest to him, his very brother. For instance, we hear in the traditions about this brother that he was a vegetarian, that he observed strict dietary law, that he's circumcised, that he wouldn't eat forbidden food. But the materials that we have about Jesus all reflect Paul's position that all things are permitted and everything in the butcher shop is clean, etc. Now, if you want to go find out where to go to look at this material, you have to go to Corinthians and places like that. So these are very important things, and all I can summarize my position in the end is by saying that many of my students in all of the three faiths that we're speaking about mistake literature for history. And if we're going to do history, we first have to question everything and get down to the very bottom of things and start right from ground zero, as you would in any science. And that is a very tough order, particularly where Jesus is concerned, where so many fantastic things are said. So again, I have to part company with both my two colleagues on even the questions they're asking.
I think our subject was Jesus in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and the subject was not Jesus in Judaism, Christianity, in Islam, Christianity, and secular tradition.
Ah, in academia.
So that's why we are talking that way. We do have to confine ourselves to what the religious communities are saying.